Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Wacana English Edition with me, Mio Adlan, taking to you through another episode of the show that gives our international and English-speaking audience insights into the political, economic and social landscape of Malaysia. And on today's episode, it is a very interesting episode indeed. We will be discussing the spectre of online scams that continues to haunt our daily lives. It's a very scary thought indeed, whatever it is that's been happening in Malaysia, specifically to all the individuals that have been victims of this matter. And in regards to that, online digital banking has brought so much convenience in our daily lives, obviously, but it has also exposed us to the risks of frauds and also scams. And according to the PDRM Commercial Crime Investigation Department, a total of 71,833 scams were reported from 2020 right up until May of 2022. And the numbers since then has been trending upwards. And regardless of how big or little the amount is, should you are a victim, every single sin actually matters, and paranoia and anxiety to use digital banking and transactions have actually spread among us. That's what we're going to be discussing today about our topic today, which is the scams that has been happening to all of us Malaysians out there. And to discuss further of our topic today, we have three very special guests with us. But before that, we do want to give a shout out in collaboration today for Wacana English Edition. It is actually a collaboration together with Bank Rakyat. And because of that, we have a very special guest. First of all, let me introduce to you on my furthest left, we have the Bank Rakyat Senior Vice President of Fraud and Corporate Integrity, Encik Muhammad Azril Fazli Azmi. Assalamualaikum, Encik Azril. Thank you so much for being with us. All right, and in the middle, the lady of the hour, we have together with us Senior Lecturer and Criminologist of University Malaya, Dr. Hazrina Begum. Hi, Doctor, how are you?
Fine, how are you?
I'm doing good, Thank you so much for being with us. And last but not least, the gentleman on my left, we have the Crime Prevention Specialist, Dr. Shamir Raja Durai. How are you doing, Doctor?
I'm very good. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much again to all our three panelists for coming down to discuss about today's topic, which is actually a very serious topic that we want to share with all of our audiences out there. So, a bit more information that we do want to share with all of our audience as well. According to the Police Commercial Crimes Investigation Department has mentioned, 71,833 scams amounting to more than 5.2 billion ringgit. That's a capital B billion, was reported from the year 2020 right up until May 2022. And it's definitely not a small number when you think about it. And we are going to get answers on why Malaysians and people in general continue to fall for these scams. So let's start off the discussion today. Let's go to Encik Azril first. Encik Azril, sure. From the news report that we see every single day, from what we have read online, from what we have read in newspapers, forums, and so on and so forth, frauds and scams cases are continuously increasing and even evolving. Different methods, different ways, and so on. So can you just share with us the current trends or the modus operandi of scams, especially banks and telecommunications-related ones?
Okay, when we talk about scams, there are few types, basically. There are telecommunication fraud scams, there are online purchase scams, there are business email compromise scams. That just to name a few. But looking at the trend nowadays, and it keeps on increasing from month to month, year to year, not only in Malaysia, but as well as at the global level. Yeah? Mostly, these prey or the victims have fallen due to Macau scam or tax scam, which is on the rise. Okay, this is a type of scam that which the fraudster or the scammers impersonated as law enforcement agencies or the regulator from Bank Negara Malaysia, to be specifically in Malaysia, or from MCMC or Suruhanjaya Komunikasi Multimedia, and they reach out to these victims and they would say that they were involved in criminal activities, unlawful activities such as drug offences, money laundering, and out of their engagement with these people who are basically trained to dupe these victims, so they might fall prey.
Okay.
And of course, when they are panicked, they would tend to follow what being instructed and what being advised. So they will follow thoroughly, and they will also mention or being advised not to actually seek any advice or make reference to their friends or family members. So in this situation, they would probably follow whatever the scammers ask them to do, and by sharing their banking credentials as well as their personal information, they would fall prey. In a minute, due to our technology nowadays, your hard-earned savings will be siphoned immediately.
Coming to you, Dr. Shami, it is that scary, isn't it? Because, again, as much as we love the advancements of technology, how much it has improved our life in any way, shape, or form, it also gives opportunity to scammers out there, people who are literally living their lives thinking about ways to scam others. And that's a very scary thought, because there's so many different types of scams out there.
That's very true. In fact, with the advancement of technology, there's always going to be advancement of crime as well. So I think one of the things about it is that we fail to understand that criminals understand human nature better than most of us. I might have a PhD, the guy probably might not have an education, but he probably understands human nature better than me.
He may have the street smarts in comparison to any one of us, right?
Right, so that is why these scams are very effective, right? Because, and it's not small-scale scams. These scams are big. They are done by syndicates. And there's a lot of thought process that goes into it. Like Encik was just sharing just now, that, you know, they have a proper script to follow. They understand what you're going to do next. And to make sure that you do not seek help, they tell you, look, you cannot go and talk to this about anyone, you know, because this is an ongoing case, so on and so forth. So they know how to create that fear, they know how to create that urgency.
That SOP, which is instilled in their activities, following everything to the letter when trying to scam somebody. Going to you, Dr. Rina, it's definitely a scary sight, isn't it? Should you get that call from an unknown number telling that, excuse me, sir, madam, you are now involved in a criminal case and you must do as I say. If not, you're gonna be, you know, you're gonna have trouble with the authorities and whatnot. That gives no time for any person to think rationally and not even thinking about they're being scammed. That's the psyche part, isn't it, Doctor?
That's definitely the psyche part, because they know, the scammers know that if the persons they are trying to scam are given enough time, these people will do the checking. So time is of the essence. Time is of the essence for scammers, and they are very, very convincing. And you can see, because they're so convincing, and that's why we have this profound number of cases on the rise daily. And they use people with the right voice, the right tone, giving the right way, that kind of emotions to speak with people.
All right.
And also, a lot of them are, this is, when we speak to scammers, you know, I mean, they are just normal, ordinary people. They treat it as work. Crime is a career itself. They treat it as work. They are acting as if they are salespersons. So that's why they are very, very convincing to make sure that people do not think twice and just, listen to whatever they are trying to say.
All right. Before we get on to Encik Azri, I do want to get back to Dr. Shami here. Is it wrong for me to say that all of these victims, at least majority of them, they are just gullible and naive to actually just believe it as simple as that for them to be cheated? I mean, like, aren't they supposed to be one to be blamed then, the victims?
Well, of course, I think that that's a fair statement to make, that they are naive. And also, I think even though there's been a lot of awareness about this, and yet still people become victim, is because they have the thought process or the mental process. Oh my God, this will never happen to me. Oh my God, no way somebody can scam me, until you get that call, until you hear that police officer's voice, and you realize, oh my God, this is so convincing. Right? That's how you become a victim.
So I think it's safe to say that don't get cocky in anything that you do, and don't pray for it to come, because again, God knows what might happen to you at the end of the day. Encik Azrael, we do want to understand more about the red flags that comes up should these scams actually happen. Like fraudsters, as mentioned, as what we have been discussing, they are getting more and more creative. It's become a proper career, as mentioned by Dr. Rina, for these scammers. What do we need to do to identify the red flags? For example, the transfer call to the police, because these are not normal thing that happens out there, right, when it comes to such things?
Yes. Okay, I mean, if we look into it, that's the reason why these scammers call their victims and then perpetrate it as they are from law enforcement agencies. Why? The first point is to create fear. So, I mean, if you are a law-abiding citizen and you have never done anything wrong, then at the first place, you shouldn't be afraid.
Yeah.
Okay? And secondly, when they accuse or they allege that these victims were being involved in criminal activities, and they will definitely also mention that, okay, we could assist you, but you need to lodge a police report. And we will transfer you for the purpose of lodging the police report. I mean, in a common sense, do we ever experience that police report can be lodged online, as if we are doing online purchase? No, that is not the case. Coming from the law enforcement background, myself, I was a senior police officer previously. Please bear in mind, to all those who are listening and watching today, basically, there's no such thing of lodging a police report online. You have to be present at any police station to lodge a police report. So that is the important point to remember.
Yeah, that's actually, it needs to be a general statement out there for everyone in Malaysia to actually know that there are certain SOPs, especially when it involves the law enforcement. There are some things that cannot be done via the telephone. There are things that cannot be done online. It has to be done face-to-face, as what was explained by Encik Azrael earlier. All right, Encik Azrael, coming back to you once again. Again, we discussed about a Macau scam. I mean, that's one of the most popular scams that has been going around, unfortunately. So maybe you can share with us a bit more about other types of scams, other modus operandi that has been used out there, because again, I think the Nigerian prince wanting to hand you $42 billion, that has been going on since I was in college. I mean, like, is it still being used right now?
Yes, but we see that the trend of this phishing scam, that is what being called as phishing scam, of which they will actually approach you through your email previously, and then saying that they were inherited with a few $1 billion or whatever amount of family inheritance which they cannot actually access. So they need the help of an external party, and of which we do believe that when we are being offered easy money, of course, we would tend to actually being enticed to cooperate. And accidentally, without we even realizing that we actually are being duped into believing the genuineness of this person who offering for us to assist them, and then giving us the actually return of what being access to them at a later date. But in the end, you have to actually pay or actually share your banking credentials. This is where when they got scammed. And if you look about the origination of scam, also we can come across to SMS scam, of which while I was still in university, they were also scam with regards to that. Oh, you have won this competition, perhaps Petronas or Shell competition. Your name has been selected. So these scams are also still happening, but of course they had they are evolving from year to year. And coming to this stage now, another uprising trend is the tax scam, of which the key word to look here is. 'Mistakenly or wrongly'. So, if I'm the scammer, I will actually Okay, basically, if I already know my victim, I would approach by sending a text through any application such as a Telegram or WhatsApp, stating that, oh, I've mistakenly registered your number for my online banking purposes. Could you please share the tag number that will be sent to you shortly with me? So the victims, without
any hesitation, right?
realizing, because okay.
It's an honest mistake.
Yeah, it's an honest mistake. I mean, we do mistake sometimes.
Yeah.
So they would probably share the tag, and without even knowing, basically, these scammers just need the tag to transfer out the victim's fund from their own accounts. So that is what actually happening.
Yeah, it is so scary, come to think of it, because again, as what we mentioned earlier on the program, the types of scams have been evolving daily, not even yearly, daily, with the advancements of technology, using different messaging application, using websites, phony websites and so on. As simple as just clicking the wrong link could actually open yourself up to being scammed. Talking about scammers here, I do want to get back to Dr. Rina. Putting ourselves in the scammer's head and mind, in order to protect from fraud, it is important, obviously, for everyone out there to arm ourselves with as much information and learn about the people that are attacking us. I mean, like, it's human nature, obviously. So, with that in mind, can you explain the psyche behind a scammer or fraudster? What are they actually thinking? Is it just work, like you said before, for them?
I was a lawyer for about 17 years in practice, and I've also represented scammers. Actually, that time they had this thing called black money. I had that opportunity to actually learn also, and that's in addition to my criminological knowledge. So they are basically, they can be just anybody. Some of them do have a PhD actually.
Okay.
Yeah, they do have masters. They are students. They come from all walks of life. And what they tell me is that, this is brain work. So we and when I asked them, I said, those love scammers, for example. I mean, don't you feel what you are doing is wrong? For example, you're a Catholic. It's this is our effort. We are actually selling our. You see, they cite themselves, try to justify themselves. They say that they are selling their time, they are selling their effort, their emotions to actually accompany people. So they should get rewarded in that terms. And I said, if you're a believer of God, aren't you scared of sinning?
Yeah.
Well, we will repent and ask for forgiveness. That's their normal thing.
Okay.
But as you are saying, these scammers, they're actually just normal people. And sometimes when they chat to their victims, sometimes they do form this attachment. But their main priority is money. Their ultimate aim is money. So sometimes people think that they completely do not have attachment. They do. But the bigger aim is money.
The reward.
Yeah.
At the end of the rainbow, basically.
The reward. So they take it as, they justify, criminals usually justify themselves. To say that, this is the work that I'm doing, and this is the money that I get paid. I can't get all victims. If I get, let's say, I go to 10, 20 people, but if I can get 1 or 2, that is enough.
Yeah. Hits your quota.
Yeah,
basically.
Exactly. So, that's how they think.
It's such a scary thought because, again, I mean, for some people, they may think that they have no other purpose in life other than doing this thing because they think that this is the best thing that they can do and this is how they can contribute not to society but to themselves in order to get that cash at the end of the day.
Just one thing. One thing that I notice a lot of them, they do have lack of empathy. That's a very glaring attribute that it's not an attribute but a factor that I see.
So you're saying that they are sociopaths in a certain way?
Not all. Some of them are.
Okay.
But not all. But they have this lack of empathy.
So they just don't care?
They don't care. Because to them, their ultimate aim is money.
It's money. Yeah.
So, so that it doesn't matter.
But just to add on to that as well,
Sure.
I think one of the other psychological factors is that look, I'm not physically hurting you. So that's how they look at it. This is not violent crime.
Yeah, I'm not running you off the road.
Yes, right. You are still alive. You can earn your money back. That's their thought process behind it, right?
Yeah.
So that is why you have. That's the thought process behind it, actually.
Yeah, that's it's quite scary. Again, when we talk about this particular topic, it is quite scary because again, without us even knowing it, every single day we tend to give out our information out there very, very easily, and we provide information to random people out there without us really knowing what is actually going on behind the scenes, and we sometimes open ourselves, unfortunately, to being scammed. A lot more that we're going to be talking about this topic. Just hope that you guys don't get scammed. Stay with us. We're going to take a short break. Back with us at Wacana English Edition. Stay with us.
So for next gen, basically our vision is for families to come here and they create happy memories together as well as one. Because it's a whole family theme park, one thing. And also this is one of the largest indoor theme park. It's about 43,000 square feet.
Wow, that's big.
Online scams in Malaysia have been on an upward trend. According to PDRM, a total of 71,833 cases amounting to a loss more than 5.2 billion ringgit were recorded from 2020 to May 2022, and it has been on the rise ever since. Have you ever been scammed yourself or anyone you know that has been scammed? Today, we're going to ask a few people if they have experienced this themselves or what their opinion on this matter. Have you guys ever been scammed before, a victim of a scam?
We have a lot of variations where scam normally happen in Facebook, Shopee and so on.
Yes, since my school days. Facebook, right? The shop that sells Nintendo Switch, which is a game console, for 500 ringgit. End up paying 500, but it turns out I didn't get anything.
No, because I'm very alert of that. Even my grandmother, yang almost kind of scammed, she was blocked by an app that actually blocks you from scammer calls.
No, I'm not, but one of my family members used to. My mom. So one day she got a call scam lah. I think from a lawyer said that our family have a lot of debts.
They never fallen for it. Like there's scam going on, but they never actually lose money.
So there are many types of scams. Are you aware of those type of scams?
Yeah, I think certain scams whenever they call saying that you have license hilang ke, kena curi ke.
Money laundry, shopping, online shopping.
One of it is the bank transfer. I heard that they'll call you up and ask you to pay for some services and then maybe ask you to transfer some money. Then after that, the money just gets lost.
How do you think we can protect ourselves and our loved ones, like for example your grandmother, from being scammed?
I think that recently there's certain apps that you can use to like really block macam certain scammer calls. And I think that's very helpful lah.
If you see that kind of item that you wanted is too good to be true, don't fall for it. If you fall for it, you have to be responsible for it.
When something smells really fishy, double confirm with your relatives, your parents. Perhaps they themselves experienced it, but maybe they never tell you, or maybe there's a new form of scam that you're not aware yet. So talking to people, sharing what the scam is about, may be a good way to keeping yourself informed.
And what is your advice to people out there to avoid from being scammed?
Just be aware that sometimes when a deal looks really good, it may just be a trap.
Make sure they consult their loved ones or like anyone they can actually consult before they confirm any payments or anything.
All right, thank you so much to all of our fellow viewers. You are still with us here at the Wacana English edition talking about scammers, how scam is actually being done here in Malaysia and how people are being affected by it. And as what you have just heard just now, a few victims are Malaysians out there, and that's only a few folks. We have actually thousands and thousands of more cases that is being, that have been reported out there who have felt victim in regards of this scam. So that's what we're trying to digest. That's what we're trying to dive in more in today's edition. And for this particular block, we have titled it as Safeguarding Ourselves from Scam. We want to make sure that we prepare ourselves very much, as much as we can, to deter ourselves from being able to be scammed by unlawful people out there. Let's go back to Encik Azri first, because again, you're the man from the bank. You're from Bank Rakyat. So we do want to ask you specifically, how has these scams actually have impacted society in regards from the banking's point of view?
Okay, basically, if we look with regards to the amount involved, yeah, it's quite high. Okay. In the current economic condition, a single cent being lost to scammers is a single cent that can be used to spur the economic activities. So that is one part of it. For instance, there are plenty or a lot of victims out there who actually borrowed money from financial institutions. When they are being granted the financing, all the financing being granted to them was siphoned out by scammers. So it's a loss. Okay. Secondly, when we look on the impact of the society, what will the people or the customers of the financial institutions think? We actually entrusted the financial institution to safeguard our hard-earned money, our hard-earned savings, and to protect their wealth. But they are unable to do so. But that is not the case. Of course, when banks, we actually invested in tools, in technologies to protect not only the customer's interest, as well as the purpose of doing banking business. And we also need to ensure that the reputation and image of any financial institution is being safeguarded. So people out there, they sometimes could not realize that they were actually being duped, they are being actually cheated to reveal their banking information, of which they would fall victim or prey. So, I mean, coming back to it, it's going to be a huge impact if we do not curb this by create awareness and sharing with the public so that they have an instant and actual knowledge of how these scammers work in order to prevent future issues.
Exactly. And as what we have already been discussing on the show is that scammers nowadays are very much tech savvy. They have been using different types of technologies, different types of platforms, different types of apps, different types of whatever it is there may be. So back to Encik Azril, from your experience, again, from the banking's point of view, from the reports that you have received, what are the types of technology that mostly related to victims being fallen into scams?
Okay, like I've said earlier, the most rampant cases happening in Malaysia or elsewhere in the world is Macau scam.
Okay.
So basically, Macau scam evolved. Okay, last time they were telling they were from enforcement agency. Now, they in fact move further by stating that if you actually doesn't believe that we are conducting an investigation, we will forward to you an application from Central Bank of Malaysia for you to fill in your particulars and banking credentials. For what purpose? For the purpose of monitoring. Once we completed our investigation, you will get back your funds, and then there will be no further investigation, and you will be free from the charge or any allegation against you. But when victims being duped into this in believing that, oh, this is true, because application coming from the regulator and being sent by the enforcement agency will actually serve the purpose of the investigation.
Right.
And without further thinking and without sharing or engage with any family members or friends, they would tend to believe.
Yeah.
So this is where the scammers got their information, and of course, it will again and again happen from day to day, day in, day out. And another type of scam nowadays is with regards to the newly application, what we call the APK scam, whereby victims or customer being induced for services such as maid services, cleaning services, they will be prompt or being advertised in social media, in Facebook. And when customer in need of this service will actually communicate with the scammers through social media, for instance, WhatsApp. And then from there, again, these scammers will forward a link for the customer to download the apps. And then when the customer make payments, basically, the information of the banking credentials being sent to the scammers. So, I mean, they are basically creative and evolving, and they will keep on coming up with new initiative on how to actually scam the victims.
The victims, looking at it again as what you mentioned, Azrael, the usage of social media. Again, I mean, like people out there, when we talk about social media, all they know is about TikTok, how to dance to a tune, Instagram, taking a picture, taking a selfie, whatnot. But they don't know that scammers or fraudsters out there are actually using these platforms, using these channels to actually try to take that money out of you. And Dr. Rina, like using all of these platforms and whatnot, how can such ads, because again, Encik Azrael has actually said, they have attractive ads being posted on your page, feed, day in and day out. More often than not, human psyche, when people understand about social media, you are more prone to click on that link should you see it more often. It intrigues your interest and whatnot. So how can one be responsible to make this stop? Because there's no stopping social media in this sense.
Yeah, that's a good question and a good concern. The thing about what is happening now with these scam activities, they're very smart to mimic the legitimate activities. So if you see how scammers, how they call, how they call on the phone, they mimic how bankers would call. They mimic how public authorities would call. So people, it's easier to believe. Similarly, for social media, they put in all those links where we do purchase and subscribe and click. But then they come in and weave in and, doing something which is not really out of the ordinary. But it does raise a little red flag, but I think also that's because there's also lack of understanding, lack of awareness. That's why people are falling for it. I think there's still not enough caution, particularly on social media, because a lot of these scams happens on social media. And as you know, criminals, I think Encik Azrael would agree with me, they are always one step ahead of the police. They're always one step ahead.
Again, coming back to the SOP, right?
Yes.
The SOP that they have.
Yeah. So they will, because, that is their ultimate, that's their job.
Yeah.
That's their job. Their job is doing crime. So they think of innovative ways and with all sorts of technology. And you know that the problem, I think, is not just what Malaysia is facing, global is facing, is that the difficulties of policing internet, the difficulties in monitoring activities on internet. So all these scammers use that to their advantage. So that's why there need to be more, I think, monitoring and more of awareness around this.
Whose job would that be then, monitoring?
There should be a lot of people. Firstly, it should come from school. It should come from schools.
Okay.
It should come from elementary schools. It should come on TV, on billboards.
Yeah.
Because I still do not see enough billboards on scams.
Okay.
Because like I think Dr. Sharia said, people will think that somebody else can get scammed, but it won't happen to me.
It won't happen.
Why? Because we always tend to think good things happen to good people, only bad things happen to bad people, unfortunately. But police gets scammed also.
Yeah.
And when we talk about the amount that's being siphoned off, remember, these are only those who cases that have been reported. There are so many more that's not reported. People are embarrassed to come forward. So we need to create more.
Yeah, it is very scary to think about that. And as what we have just seen on the screen earlier, the amount of money, the amount of ringgit that has been scammed in the north of 50,000, 100,000, 200,000, even millions. And we always hear cases happening, in villages where an old auntie, a makcik here, an old retiree being scammed. Because unfortunately, the awareness, as what Dr. Rina has said, the awareness wasn't there. They don't know about this. All they know how to do with their phones is liking a picture of their grandchildren, and liking a picture of a cat, for instance. But nobody is literally telling them, please be wary of all these, activities that's happening out there, and people should have their guard up as much as possible. Speaking about putting our guard up, Dr. Shamir, as how we ended the first segment earlier, I've spoken about how we freely give out our data out there. Freely. As easy as giving our email, our phone numbers and whatnot. Yes, we are protected by PDPA, in regards of, our protection of data and whatnot, but not everyone follows this. Unfortunately, it's a data heaven for fraudsters and scammers, isn't it?
Yes, you said something interesting. We are protected by PDPA. Are we?
You tell me.
Okay, so let me give you a very good example, right? A lot of people get worried when somebody calls them and say, oh, this is your IC number, is that right?
Yeah.
This is your car number plate, is that right? And then you immediately believe the scammer. But like you said, your data is everywhere. Just say you go and visit your friend in his apartment. Don't you have to register your IC number and your car number plate, right?
Yes.
How do you know that your data is not being sold over there?
Yeah.
Right?
I think he must have signed the PDPA agreement. I don't know.
So that's the thing, right? And let's talk about the PDPA, right? Do you know how easily you can get a person's data online? You don't even need any hacking. I'll tell you this, just go online, Google, Numbo IC, something, right?
Yep.
It'll come out. Why? Wow. Half the time, I'll tell you this, and I'll make a statement. A lot of times, this will be from, information on government websites. Or government-linked websites. Why? PDPA doesn't apply to the government.
Oh, they're not?
It doesn't apply to the government. Once me and my team, we were just Googling stuff, and we had names, IC numbers, contact numbers, addresses of people that we just click a button there, download from a Majlis for Bandaran's website. Open information.
Yeah.
PDPA doesn't apply to them.
Wow.
Right? And also, now let's look at it from another side. Just say your data gets lost. Let's talk about the case of the airline that had our information leaked, right? Everything, IC numbers, passports, credit cards, and all leaked. Right? As a person or as a victim, can you take any action? PDPA doesn't cover civil action. Right? It covers criminal action. So unless you can prove that because of that leak particularly, I became a victim and I lost 200,000, which will be impossible for you to prove, only then can you take action against them.
Okay.
Right? So, does the PDPA really protect you?
Let's have the guy from the bank now. Again, I mean, as much as we do want to utilize all of this digital transaction, opening our bank accounts online, transferring money, data, so on and so forth, it is still a scary thought. I can testify to you that my father, who is 75, until today, does not believe in online banking because of this, what he hears in the news and whatnot. And it is a scary thought to convince people out there it is actually safe, but you still hear things happening, on the other side. Jazreel.
Yes, I mean, if we look into the issues of scams, it will always come to a thought of the cost-benefit analysis. Okay, why I'm saying this is that, I mean, you cannot be transacting for the next 5 years in the future, for the next 10 years. by way of cash. Okay,
understand.
with the emergence and the improvement of technology is to actually make the usage or banking possible for people at ease. So you can transfer funds online, you can actually make purchases online, but we have to bear in mind, of course, I mean, if you put up your cash at home, who can guarantee you that a burglar won't come at the night and rob your house? Same goes here. So what am I saying is that scammers could not actually dupe you or make you fall prey if you don't reveal your banking credentials.
All right.
You must be vigilant when performing your transactions, and just to ensure that, for instance, your tag, transaction authorization code, your OTP, one-time password, your username, your user ID, your password. This information is only privy to you and only for the usage of yourself. If you have that in mind, you always remember that, there shouldn't be any problem.
Yeah, I believe that everybody needs to play their role in this. If we, give ourselves up to being fraud or to being scam, then there's no two ways about it. Nobody can actually protect you at the end of the day. It's also advice like, for instance, you can't afford to be walking down a dark alley, carrying R1 million in a briefcase, for instance. Nobody would want to do that. Same case with online banking transactions and whatnot. As long as you keep it to yourself, as what Chaz just said, being disciplined and diligent about it and have all the safety measures, most probably a higher percentage that things will be fine. But yeah, things still do happen. Unfortunately, we still have a lot more to talk about on this show. Do not go anywhere. We're going to take a very short break. Back with us on the Wacana English edition. Stay with us.
Today, Sinar Daily is at Splash Mania Gamuda Cove, the new water theme park that just opened.
This is our main attraction. This is a Ninja Challenge.
Welcome back to Wacana English edition together with Mimio Adlan in collaboration today with Bank Rakyat, talking to you about scams. And don't be scammed, don't be cheated in any way, shape or form. Hence why we have three very, very intelligent, very, how should I say, very, knowledgeable in regards to this topic. Before we move on to the third topic that we have today about finding solid solutions, I do want to open it up to the floor right now. It is a very general question. Anybody can pick this up. You guys can just speak freely. Should someone is being scammed, will they get their money back, regardless of whatever the amount? Who wants to start, please?
Well, maybe I started off.
Yes, please, Dr.
Actually, the PDRM has made a statement already that it is not their job to get the money back. The job of the PDRM is to catch the criminals, right? So, however you are supposed to get your money back, I think that would fall back into civil action. Right? So, can you get your money back? No.
Dr. Rina, you're smirking over there. Anything to add on?
I do agree to what Dr. Shamil said. Unfortunately, our criminal justice system is focused on the punishment, on
catching the
sentencing.
perpetrators.
Yes. So as to reparations, compensation, that is another forte, another area that's civil.
Right.
So the victims can only institute civil action against the perpetrator if the perpetrator is found and known and proven.
And has the money.
Yeah. If he does not have the money, then you have to execute, and even then you can't get the money.
Right.
So basically, it goes back to you can institute a civil suit.
But it will cost you more money than anything else, I think.
Yes, civil suit is payment.
Yeah.
So you have to pay certain fees and lawyers and all. But for criminal justice system, unfortunately, it doesn't come with that.
All right. Cik Azriel, anything to add?
Okay. As for me, based on the types of cases that we've looked in the media so far, most, of course, they would lose their money. Okay. But by saying that, I'm not saying that the customers of any financial institution should not bank with any financial institution, because obviously, when we provide services, we also would provide the tools to actually protect our customers' fund from being siphoned out. But again, the chances when customers are being duped, it's highly likely that the money is not going to be returned back, as what to my fellow colleagues have mentioned earlier. Because for you to actually recover back what you have lost, you need to prove. That is what being practiced in our law, which is you need to actually identify the person who did it. I mean, if we are talking about identifying the person, you need to ensure the person who actually pressed the button to transfer your fund. It's to that detail. So by saying that, I think it's kind of hard for any victims to actually recover back their money.
Nothing through legal means lah.
Nothing. I don't know where you're going with that, but let's just leave it at that. So I think it's safe to say that, yes, fellow Malaysians out there, please be diligent about, you can have all the safeguards, all, whatever it is that you have your securities and whatnot, but just try to be diligent and be smart and be suspicious in anything. When it's too great of a news, when it's too easy for you to actually get something, normally it is actually not. Speaking about finding solutions, that's what we want to dive in now today. Back to Encik Azriel. Yes, because again, when we talk about scams, it normally is associated with online activities, phone calls, so on and so forth. So obviously, the telco companies, the telecommunication companies out there, together with banks, they definitely fit in the equation in trying to prevent scams from happening. Any kind of indication that you can share with us of what has been done, or what practices have these collaborations with the telco companies, so far?
Okay. When we talk about scam, I mean the two main item should be in is, of course, telco and banks.
Yep.
Okay. So without banks, you won't have money.
Yep.
And without telco, you won't be enabled to actually transfer the fund online. Okay. When we talk about collaboration, yes, indeed. I mean, specifically saying Bank Rakyat with DG Telco.
Yep.
Basically, we had collaboration. We did an awareness. We created a vlog for the sharing of DG customers and as well as the public. So we also could leverage on technology. Okay, by saying that is that, okay, when any online transaction being performed by customers, telco could actually come in and stop any text or messages being sent to victims' number if they are not being authenticated from the genuine source.
Understand.
That is what they can do. And of course, further collaboration would be needed. And personally, I would applaud of all the telecommunication companies out there to actually engage more with financial institutions, so we could come to a common understanding and to attain the equilibrium point of which we can actually minimize these scam occurrences and without hurting our economy in the near future, as well as protecting both of customers' interests and wealth.
All right, understand. Yeah, I mean, like, we have seen out there, there's like two-tiered identification, three-tiered identification, just to safeguard ourselves and not making that mistake by just entering that password only once. There are initiatives out there, there are methods out there that companies such as banks as well as telcos are actually doing to safeguard themselves and their customers to, well, I wouldn't say diminish, but at least lessen, you know, these criminal activities happen. Okay. Now, again, I'm just going to open up to the floor. I think this is a very interesting subject to open up. Do you think that the government and the authorities should do more to curb this widespread problem that we have in regards to scam? Are things being done enough, or is it just the people who are just, again, coming back to the initial part of our discussion, just gullible enough, just too naive and not understanding what's going on? What is the government's take in this, Dr. Rina?
Okay. I cannot 100% blame it on the government, because I think when this scam issue came up, all these scamming activities, it did not come slowly. It sort of mushroomed out. So you're getting all sorts of scams and from all corners, and there's so many types. And one thing that I see is that the society is trying to digest what is happening. The government is trying to digest what is happening to actually overcome this issue. So I do see efforts being taken now. There's a lot of emphasis now from the this last year, particularly because of so much of losses that's that's been suffered by the public. That they are actually tightening, going all out on, scamming activities. But I think that we cannot just leave it to the police. I think we cannot just leave it to the police. We leave it to MC. We leave it to because people think that when something happens online, you only go to the Multimedia Commission, you only go to the police. I think there should be more agencies helping out.
Okay.
And also sensitizing themselves that this is also happening. And I heard that, like KPDN now are also like going on board because, there's scams through Shopee and all this online purchase. So I think that it needs, like I said just now, it needs to also be introduced in schools so that even children now knows that this is a crime that's kind of new era crime that's happening. Just making it normal, making this available that so that people from all walks of life know that this is a crime that's happening, and we get NGOs. I don't see much NGOs actually going on this. There still need to be more participation of NGOs helping out and helping public to be sensitized about scamming activities.
But Dr. Shamit, doesn't it also give a headache to the government at least, or like MCMC or any authorities out there, because again, scams, when it comes to technology, it evolves so quickly, so rapidly. Whatever solution that you may offer right now may not be relevant, next month, because something new may pop up. The progression is so quick.
Yeah. So actually, you have to look at it from a few areas. You have to look at it from government, from the private sectors. I'll just share this as well, and I'm sure the banks are working on it as well. At the moment, if a suspected account gets frozen, it means you cannot remove money, but money can still go in, right? And if you go to Bank Negara's website, you can see what is it like. It falls under anti-money laundering as well. So a suspected account. So I believe some of the banks have been aware of this, and I'm sure they are working on it and how to make sure that if you frozen money doesn't go in as well. Right? So that's one part. Another part is, should the government be doing more? Yes, okay. If you look at even some of the reports that have been made, and it's been in the media as well, you have people within these agencies as well who are working together with scammers, right? So one of the ways is you weed out the bad apples first, right? You had very famous Dato' in Johor who was part of it, the police force was part of it and all. So, you have to weed out the bad apples before you even fix it. There was a guy who was called to MACC for inquiry and he jumped over the fence, Doesn't make sense, right? Yeah. So how are these things happening? So can we say the government needs to do more? I think they need to weed out the bad apples first. Because if it's happening from within, no matter what you do, it doesn't work. And I think the right people need to be hired to do the right things. How qualified are the cybersecurity? I'm sure they're very qualified. But how much restrictions are put on them? Right? Because there's always red tape. Oh, you cannot do this, we need approval first. You cannot do this, we need approval first, right? So unless we give them the freedom to say, look, do what you need to do to catch these guys, we are probably going to continuously have problems with, oh no, we cannot do this, we cannot do this.
But that's also a flip side to that, if I may ask. Again, should you give all the cybersecurity companies or telcos or bankings or whatever to get that much information? It does give a very scary perspective from the users themselves, because they're opening themselves up to all of the institutions that, wow, I'm now literally in the open. They have all of me in the name of making sure that you're not doing anything bad. You're being so-called monitored in such a way. That's also another scary stuff, isn't it, Dr. Rina?
Yes. That there is repercussions.
Yeah, of course.
There's always repercussions. So I think that there need to be more discussions actually, and more brainstorming and getting more experts to actually figure out proper ways to policing certain information, and devise certain methods to actually safeguard people's money. Yeah. Basically, because now whatever that's happening is people are transferring money. We are having two things. One is the person believing on certain scheme or scam and transferring the money. Yeah. Number two, people going in and getting access to that information and stealing that money. Yeah. So I think that two areas, people have to sit down, the experts have to sit down to think of ways to actually safeguard and talk with telco. So,
And obviously, Chazril, banks, for instance, you are very much in making sure that your system, that your ecosystem and your tech, hardware and software, whatever it is that may be, is sufficient and able enough to make sure that you guys are protecting all of your clientele, for sure.
Yes, definitely. Because we, as a financial institution, we actually must provide the services that hand-to-hand or vis-a-vis in terms of protecting the customers' money and funds.
Yes.
Okay. Because without the customers, you won't be doing any business. Of course, when you want to be having business, indirectly, you also have to invest in technology in order to actually ring fence, in order to basically stop any unlawful activities, any unauthorized transfers being made from customer accounts to external parties. Of course, I mean, if you look at any financial institution, they invest a lot in this.
Yes.
I mean, moving forward, you can see that more financial institutions will be investing in artificial intelligence, data analytics, big data.
Yep.
Of course, these are the future of banking.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, if we look on the issue of scam, it does not only affect Malaysians. It affects the world.
Yep.
I mean, if you go to any developed countries, you go to Japan, you go to States, they were cheated as well. I mean, their MOs might be far off better than the MOs being perpetrated by the scammers here.
Yep.
But I mean, how do we actually share the information with the speed of time?
Yes.
For people to be more aware and be prepared when they are being approached or when they are being trying to deceive by these scammers.
Yeah,
that is the most important role. Yeah.
Being put into such circumstances. All right, we are almost running out of time here for this edition, but we do want to give a chance for all of our panelists to have a say to all of our fellow viewers. So we'll start with Dr. Shamir first. You want to scold them? You want to advise them? All yours, Doctor.
Well, I think one of the things that we need to do, or the efforts that we need to put in, is to look out for each other. So the spreading of the awareness is so important.
Sure.
So I think what you guys are doing at Sinar is amazing. And I think more platforms need to continuously do this kind of stuff.
All right.
So I just like to thank you and Sinar together and Bank Rakyat especially for putting this whole program together. And I think a lot of credit needs to go to Bank Rakyat for doing this, because most of the time we don't see the banks stepping up and hosting shows like this just to do. So thank you very much, Sinar and Bank Rakyat.
All right, thank you. Dr. Rina, floor's yours.
Yeah, just advice, if it's too good, don't believe.
Yep.
If it's too bad, also do not believe it. If people are don't make decisions in a haste. If somebody calls you and asks you to make a decision at that point of time, do not believe it. Also, do report if you feel the 997, that National Scam Response Center, if you've been scammed or if you suspect. Also, thank you to Bank Rakyat. Yeah, I think that other banks should also follow what Bank Rakyat did with Sinar as exemplary to create more awareness with the public on scamming.
All right, Azrael.
Okay, last but not least, I just wanted to actually advise to all the people out there. Bear in mind, and again, I would like to repeat, your banking credentials, such as username, user ID, password, PIN numbers, is only privy to you. Please don't share it with anyone else, even though your family, because scammers might go through your family, but not through you. But if your information is out there, I mean, obviously, you would be a victim. And also, I would like to thank Sinar, as well as my fellow colleagues here, Dr. Hazrina and Dr. Shamir. I mean, this platform should actually create more, and this should not be an end of it, because I know we'll be dealing with more scams in the future. So hopefully we could work together in combating these financial scams. Thank you very much.
All right, that's it, folks. Thank you so much to all our guests. From Bank Rakyat, Senior Vice President Fraud and Corporate Integrity, Encik Muhammad Azril Fazli Azmi, together with Dr. Hazrina Begum, Senior Lecturer and Criminologist from University Malaya, as well as Dr. Shamir Rajadurai, Crime Prevention Specialist. As what all of our panelists has actually mentioned earlier, if it's too good to be true, most of the time it is. So do not fall for anything that is so great and so easy. Do not make any hash decisions on the fly. Take time to digest it and understand what the situation really is. Even if the police are calling you, be calm, because at the end of the day, if it's true, then the truth will come out of it in one way or another. Just be calm, relax. And if you are in dire need of help, call a friend, get a hold of your Better House, or anyone out there to help you out in really understanding what's going on. So we do really hope that Malaysians out there will not be scammed more. We try to prevent it as much as possible for the greatness, not just for yourselves, but also for the nation. That's all for this episode today on Wacana English Edition. Make sure you guys do follow us on all our socials at sinardaily.my, on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, as well as on our website. Make sure you guys give us a like, give us a share as well, and do stay with us for all of the major updates that we share throughout the time. That's it from myself, Mio Adlan. Hope you guys have a great weekend ahead. Wish you guys well. Assalamualaikum. Very good evening. Bye-bye.